Awesome. So we just got through Mary Kelly's super powerful story from her, learning a whole lot about her journey, which is awesome, and how we can apply it and use desire in our life to create and fulfill whatever it is that we want to go out there and get in the marketplace. We're going to go through 4 of her very important principles of desire, and then we're going to look at applying those into actually facilitating the creation of something that might originally seem impossible or super difficult to create, entirely based on an internal drive, an internal belief, and total conviction that you can make it happen, and using that to turn out results. So let's go over to the computer and we'll get it going on it. So at the beginning, her first principle is to imagine yourself successful. Always picture yourself successful. Visualize the person you desire to become. Set aside time each day to be alone and undisturbed. Get comfortable and relax. Close your eyes and concentrate on your desires and goals. See yourself in this new environment, capable and self-confident. This is huge, and this is really going to go along with the secret formula where we set your goal, your big long-term goal, just a couple modules back, because we're going to read that in the morning and at night every day, which is super powerful. And that's going to be really one of the driving factors to see yourself successful. With that, you're going to do it over and over and over. So this is kind of just reinstating that principle of making it happen and having total conviction that you can achieve that goal, create that value, and fulfill the money you desire. Super important part here. Now, our second thing is to reflect on your past successes. Now, this is big. She says every success, be it large or small, is proof that you are capable of achieving more successes. Celebrate each success. You can recall it when you begin to lose faith in yourself. This is super important, and this is why I'm such a big proponent of keeping a daily journal. Because when you keep a daily journal, you write down all your small successes day by day, and it fuels you to go out there and create more and more success over time. It's super important, like if you set daily goals, right? You'll plan the day, you plan tomorrow, right? So I would plan a day last night, and then I would follow through on that plan and create successes in my life just by following that planning, doing exactly what I want to do. So that's a super important thing, is to have small successes. Then you have medium-term goals, and those are medium successes, and it just keeps growing and growing. So once you have that first success, you have such a huge amount of confidence in yourself that you know, look, I can keep going, I can make this happen, and I can achieve this long-term success that I want, whatever it is, so that then you have a total belief that those long-term goals are possible. Everything you do is possible, and you can make it happen. That's really important, and reflection will give you the belief that you can achieve that desire. Next, she says, set definite goals. Have a clear direction of where you want to go. Be aware when you begin to deviate from these goals, and take immediate corrective action. This is just like what we were talking about earlier, right? If you're in a room and you know exactly where you want to go, but you encounter an obstacle, you can go around the obstacle and still know where you need to go. Super important, and that's why you're going to have that overarching long-term goal, that definite goal, which is very specific. It's going to give you that direction, that sense of purpose, and have complete clarity with everything you do. Super important part here, and Mary Kelly emphasizes it. And then the last principle is really cool. It's respond positively to life. Develop a positive self-image. Your image, your reactions to life, and your decisions are completely within your control. Now, this is a really powerful thing, and it goes a lot with like smiling, right? Smiling is so huge, because it changes your state of mind, makes you so much happier. And when you're happy, right? If you're having this awesome time, then everyone else around you wants to be happy too, right? Because happiness spreads, and everyone has an amazing time when they're around an amazingly positive environment. And when you respond positively to life, what you do is actually so powerful, because it elevates your state of mind. It lets you achieve so much more. So if you see other people succeed and you're so happy for them, it associates success with happiness in your subconscious, right? If you have your mind, you want all these thoughts of success and growth and happiness and development, right? So that you can get to these definite goals. You want all of that to be associated with happiness. So when you're happy all the time, it's going to be twofold, right? First, you're going to have a better environment. People are going to want to be with you. You're going to have amazing teamwork, cohesion with people. And you're going to have a tremendously, because you don't want to just work and then just say you didn't have a good time at the end. You want to have a good time, and smiling, having a positive attitude is going to give you that good time. And it's going to make everything so much easier, because everything will come once you're happier with whatever it is that you're doing, so that you can grow and grow. And it's so powerful to have that positivity to life, have that great attitude. Because like she says, right, everything's completely under control. Like we talked about in the last module, thoughts, right? You control your thoughts. Your thoughts are your own. So you got to make sure that you have positive thoughts, and positive thoughts that are going to be conducive to achieving your long-term goal, to actually getting out there and crushing it. And the way you do that, the way you start to do that, is to have that positive mindset, that positive thinking, control your thoughts, control your image. She says image here, positive self-image. I think that's really powerful. And it's something I struggled with for a really long time. Was like, I was super, like, you guys know, right? When I was coming into high school, I was like so fat. I had no social skills. It was crazy. And then in like freshman year, I lost like 50 plus pounds. And I just had this insane change in my life that gave me the confidence to go out there, get my first job, start growing as a person, start growing financially. It was just so powerful. But it all came from that positive self-image, that positive confidence. And I was able to look in the mirror and say, wow, I'm so much happier with where I am. All because I went through and I just ton of weight training, more about that in the general membership area. But losing that weight was so crucial for me. So you do really want to have that positivity in your life. It's going to create so many more opportunities once you have that great self-image, once you have everything that you want to be positive. So with that said, let's look at how we can apply that. He calls this story desire outwits nature, and I found this really powerful. It's one of these biggest takeaways from the first part of the book, which is awesome. So he goes to the hospital. He's with his wife, and in the hospital, they're having their kid, right? So, here's Mrs. Hill, and she's on that table, and so they have their kid, and Hill, he sees the kid, and he's born without ears, right? So he just doesn't have ears, which like really sucks. Like that's yikes. Yeah. So he didn't have ears, so he couldn't really hear anything. So the doctor is like, hey, look, man, this kid not gonna hear, which sucks. He's just not. It's really bad. So Hill, he takes the doctor. He says, dude, really? Are you serious? He goes home with his wife. He goes home with his kid. And at their house, he says, look, I really want my son to be able to hear things. So he goes home and he says he's going to instill desire in his son to hear. And if he could just obey his faith and continue his guidance, he should hear the right word, right? And it was all based on the desire that his son wouldn't be a deaf mute. So he goes home and he absolutely refuses to take deaf or mute. He just doesn't let these happen. He's not gonna stand for it. He wants to overcome it. He wants to crush it. So as soon as his son is old enough, right, he starts to try to work in this desire in his life. So he knows that if he can create a burning desire to hear, it will happen. It'll translate into physical reality, which is so powerful. So as he grew older, they start to realize that the kid, he had like a slight degree of hearing. He could hear just a little bit. So what Hill did, and with his family and with his wife, they would go and get a record player, right? And they bought this record player knowing that it was gonna give him this hope, this desire to hear. He wanted to hear the music, right? And what his kid would do is he would put his mouth on the wood so he could conduct the sound, through his bones, which is just so cool. And he would do that day in, day out, because he wanted to hear this music and he loved the song so much. He would listen to, It's a Long Way to Tipperary over and over and over, and it gave him this desire that he wanted to hear. And his parents were also, Hill was super proud of it, because he realized that if he had just this slight degree of hearing, over time they could grow it and grow it and grow it and grow it till eventually he could have like full hearing, even though he didn't really have like ears. And the doctor said he didn't have any nerves in his ears connecting to his skull, and he was pretty much like just on his own, which was crazy, really strange situation. So he would speak to him, behind his ears. He would just whisper into his head, because he did have a slight degree of hearing, entirely based on the fact that, eventually, right, his parents just kept desiring and believing that he could hear. They treated him like he could hear, right? They wouldn't put him in a deaf school. They wouldn't let him learn sign language. He would go to normal school and he would strain just to hear people were saying. And it was really difficult for him, but he was completely backed by the faith of his parents that he could hear, and he had this desire to hear so that he could be normal and understand the people around him, which was really powerful. And then he also, he really liked bedtime stories, right? So his dad, Hill, would tell him these bedtime stories over and over and over, and give him this happiness. And working right on this positivity, he kept going. He never thought for a moment that he wasn't successful. He always believed that his son would hear at some point of his life. He kept going hard and hard. And his successes came, right? He had success here. He had success when he realized that his son could hear just a little bit. He had success at bedtime. He kept going on these successes over and over. His definite goal was that his son was going to hear like a normal guy. He was going to overcome this handicap, which was just insane. And so with these bedtime stories, right, what he would do is he would interweave stories about hearing, and he would use these stories as a way to implant a desire to hear in his son, right? So, he'd talk about the beauty of sound, all these amazing things that people that can hear have, and he would use that, as fuel, right? And then something really cool happened, is he started to have this drive. He started to actually fulfill himself. He was working to get out there and improve and grow, which is so powerful. And it was all because of his internal affliction. It was all him on the inside. He had this internal desire, and that was so powerful. It drove him to go into the local marketplace, sell newspapers. He would actually jump out of his window, go over to his neighbor and borrow like 5 cents so that he could buy, a bunch of newspapers, just sell them all, and then go reinvest the profits, make like 45 cents in a day, and then sneak back into his house, sneak into his house. And it freaked out his mom, and it made Hill was so proud. 6 cents, yeah. And he would just have this internal urge to go out in the streets and honestly risk his life to earn money, because the guy couldn't really hear. It was dangerous stuff. So it was all because of him trying to create resourcefulness to fulfill his desire to hear. He wanted to make it happen, and he realized that cash was a super big part of that. So it was really powerful, and he didn't want to be that little deaf boy anymore. Kept following his plan, kept crushing it, until he started to grow and grow and grow. But it was still really tough for him to hear, and he went off to college and he tried electrical hearing aids, which didn't really work for him. And again, one of the reasons it didn't work for him is because he didn't really have any signs of natural hearing in his ears. He just didn't have the nerves. So he goes to college for years and years and years, and he goes to a normal college, and he struggles really, really hard to get through the system. He says, look, I'm gonna go to normal classes. So he goes, and he's there with a bunch of regular students, just like him. He doesn't go to a deaf school, like I said. He goes around all these people, and he has this total belief that he is going to hear, with no doubt whatsoever, whatever it is that the professor is saying to these in this class. He goes there for years and years and years, until in his last week of college, 18 years after they tried to have an operation to fix his hearing, his last week of college, the world changed. He finally had so much success. He had so much belief. He had so much conviction. He had so much positivity in everything he did. He was always happy with every result he got. And he finally got to this goal. Because you got to remember, this goal will focus everything that you do. It'll bring a overarching belief and an overarching image in every single action he took, which was so powerful. In his last week of college, he found another electrical hearing aid, and he was so skeptical about it because he'd done so many before. But he haphazardly takes his hearing aid, he puts it on his head, he turns it on, puts a battery in it, and all of a sudden, his lifelong desire for normal hearing became a reality. He could hear practically as well as anyone with normal hearing. His entire life shifted, his entire paradigm shifted. He finally got to his goal of being able to hear. He was so happy. I mean, Hill talks about it so much better, but he fulfilled his persistent desire. He overcame every single thing nature threw at him. He overcame all the doctors, all the medical staff, everything that he could have had to put him down. He overcame it, and he fulfilled this persistent desire to hear and to correct nature's error. And the only way that happened was through these consistent growth steps, this consistent belief, this consistent persistency, and treatment of himself as totally normal. Because he was going towards this definite goal. He made it happen. It was so powerful. Desire was the single thing that enabled all of this to happen for him. Because it was all in his head. And it just grew and grew and grew over time. So powerful. So, he writes to the company that made the hearing aid, and he tells them, look, this is amazing. I can't believe this just happened. You guys are like literally the best. He sends that off to them, and the hearing aid company thought that was really cool. So they were working on their marketing at the time, and they call him into their factory. He goes over to their factory in New York, and they say, hey, you know what? This is really cool. I like what you guys are doing. And then they hire him to be, he creates a little plan. He creates a 2-year marketing plan for the hearing aid company. And the hearing aid company hires him on the spot. And he goes and he fulfills on this plan. He goes out there and starts to help tons of more people who, before meeting him and before him showing them that hearing aid, that amazing technology, they might have been struck with a life of mutism. I mean, just total deafness. These guys couldn't hear either. But he gave them, that trial. He gave them that hearing aid and changed their lives. just like his life was changed, right? And now he had this huge success, this huge calling from everything he did. And it all came from that desire to go out there and just be totally normal. And it was so powerful. And then something really interesting happens. After a couple years of, selling these hearing aids, he gets x-rays back, and there is literally no connection. There's no opening in his skull whatsoever from where his ears should be to the brain, right? And this is back with Hill's son. Like, it's so ridiculously crazy. And this is why you guys got to read this book, because he goes into a lot more detail on it. But like, literally, there were no nerves, no ear canals. There was nothing. He had no ears. But because of his insanely persistent desire to hear and talk, to live like a normal person, he was able to overcome and be a bridge builder and create a connection between his body parts to overcome that gulf of silence that struck him for so long. This is such a powerful concept in medicine, in your body, in your development. And it's something I've seen a whole lot of my friends deal with. I know one of them in particular, their dad, he was riding a motorcycle and he seriously got messed up. He fell off. He didn't have leather on, and it was really bad. Tons of broken bones, tons of road rash. It was crazy. He goes to the hospital, and with this pure will to survive, and Hill talks about this too. He had this friend, and he was like 80, 90. He was going to this massive operation with a total failure rate. Everyone who saw this operation, right? Here, let me draw this for you just so it'll have that visual impact, which is so powerful. He goes into this operation, and it was kind of like what I'm just talking about. He's a really old guy, very frail. It was super dangerous for him to do what he was doing, because this operation was fatal for a lot of people. And the hospital staff, right, the doctors, the nurses, all of them, they all were super skeptical. They said, look, this could seriously kill him. This guy could die from this. Just like my friend, right? His dad was going to the hospital, and he was seriously injured, right? Like, he could have died from that. It was a very dangerous scenario. So Hill's friend, he goes into the hospital, and the doctor and the nurses, they're looking at his family, they're looking at them, and they're saying, this is a serious problem. They wheel him into this operating room, and once they go into the room, everyone's there, and they're looking at his family. These nurses, these doctors are saying, look, this is seriously, this could be the end of his life today. And his family, they're so sad. They're like, oh my God. But then the actual guy, he's on this operating table. He looks over to his family and he says, look, guys, don't worry about it. I'll see you in a couple hours once I'm done. We're going to be all good. He had this insanely positive mindset, this insanely positive mentality, and total conviction and belief that he's going to make it. He's going to succeed. He'll be A-OK. And it was all internal. It was all in his mind. Now, the operation goes. It's pretty brutal. He goes through the whole thing. And then he survives. He's flawless. He's amazing. He comes out of there, and the nurses and the doctors are completely stunned. They just can't believe it. This guy, he's like, yeah, dude, makes sense. I'm amazing, right? But the doctors are like, whoa, oh my gosh. And the biggest thing that they said is the reason he survived was because of his internal conviction to survive, his internal desire to make it out of that operating room alive and go back to his family, go back to his work, to go back to what he loved to do, which is so powerful. Same thing with my friend, right? His dad went into this operating room after he fell off his motorcycle, and he was really messed up. The doctors go around him, but he has this total conviction and belief in his mind that he will survive and he will live forth, right? He was like 20, it was so long ago. But he had this internal belief that he would survive, right? was totally convinced. He had this burning desire to make it happen, no matter what the physical world around him said was possible. So, after a ton of just so crazy operation. I mean, they were moving parts of his body, skin everywhere. It was really nasty because he was in a serious incident. He walks out. He goes out of the operating room, and he's still in the hospital. So he's like laying down, but he lived and he went out there to survive. And he was all because of that internal belief that he was going to make it. The doctors at the time, they were so surprised. They said the only reason he survived was because of, you know, the muscles that held his bones together. Because, like I said, it was pretty serious. So he had some serious body mess ups, and they said it was the muscles that held his bones together. But it's that internal belief, that internal dedication. You know, he could have easily just given up, passed away, just like this guy, right? Could have given up, passed away, just died, succumbed to the pain, but they didn't, right? They elevated their mindset to this higher state where they had a total belief that they were going to be successful, they were going to survive, and that's exactly what they did. Now I guarantee you, if his mindset was down, if he didn't have total belief in himself, same thing with my friend's dad, these guys didn't have complete and utter belief that they were going to survive, that they were going to make it, that they are in the future a healthy patient, they'd be dead, you know? The biggest thing that allowed them to survive these extremely traumatic surgeries, these extremely traumatic crashes, incidents, was their positivity in life and their definite goal to survive and their total and insane burning desire and will to make it happen based on their past successes, because they saw themselves as successful. They had control over the 4 principles of desire. So powerful. Guys, this is huge. Anyway, so back to Hill's son. Hill's son, you know, he cures his deafness. He's amazing, and he goes back to train people. He actually becomes an instructor, right? So he'll go in front of a room, and he gives all these people hearing aids. And on top of hearing aids, he'll give them training on how to actually overcome their muteness and get their hearing back. And he treats them all like they can hear, just like his father did, just like Hill, once they have these hearing aids. And he goes through these trainings, and he goes through this, these are all like their hearing aids, right? I don't know what these hearing aids look like, but that's a good look. I like it. He goes and he gives them little white lies, just like he had when he was a kid, planted in his head, that they can do it, they can hear. He's giving them the belief, right? He's giving them the desire to hear and showing them that they can hear. Because of that, belief, right? This is huge. I'm gonna write this down. Belief plus burning desire equals reality. There's nothing, right or wrong, which belief and burning desire cannot make real. These qualities are free to everyone. That line, so powerful. So what Hill's son was doing is he was giving them the belief, he was giving them the desire to overcome Mother Nature and just have this insane ability to overcome all logic and create this hearing, this connection between their brain and their ears and their hearing system, so that they could turn their desires into a reality, and they could turn what was originally a handicap into their greatest asset by actually getting their hearing. And Hill would give these guys white lies about them hearing, because what he was doing is he was just kind of copying what his dad was doing, like we talked about earlier in the story, of saying you can hear, right? You can hear, you will hear, you are a normal person. And those internal statements, they gave him an identity and a goal and a future self to move up to succeed, to grow towards. Because of that, he turns it into a reality, and he overcomes it and makes it happen. It's so powerful. So please, guys, believe in yourself. Have a desire. Have a strong desire that you overcome that any idea nature throws at you that something is impossible. Impossible is not a word you believe in. There is no such reality. It's failure. You can make it happen when you have the faith and the desire. It's an insanely powerful thing. You've seen people overcome death purely from their internal desire. Use it to your advantage and absolutely crush it. I'll see you guys in the next module. Thanks so much, and I can't wait to give you that burning passion. Sweet. Thanks.